Americans of Reddit, what is the worst big city in the USA and why? My city, Stockton, California, finally got another serial killer captured a few weeks ago. Don't get me started on the speed-free killers. City has a real population of around 420, 60 are homeless. The last 3 mayors have been arrested during or after their term. City council is a farce. Paid, holy shit of shit shows. I will admit there are good officers, yet there's been 2 sergeants arrested for assay and rape in the past year. When I first moved here, there was a bank robbery with hostages. Police put 27 rounds in the hostages. Police put 27 rounds in the hostages. Police chief admitted his guys needed more firing range time on an open mic. Every amusement or nice attraction gets shut down. Golfland gone. Incredible John's gone and so on. We're considered the little Chicago. I believe our crime rate is on par with them. School district, holy shit, what show. Every year, we get a new superintendent that either gets fired or steps down. The district apparently is close to insolvency, with the state getting ready to take over. I believe a few tens of millions in the hole. Yet most of their employees don't get benefits. Yeah, health insurance around $800 a month, that's mandatory. Have to say the fire department is awesome AF. They put out a shit ton of fires. Update. Just got a report of a young lady that was stabbed to death down the street was the niece of my wife's co-worker. No one knew why she was in that area. It's still off, that's it. It's rough next to a Sikh temple. Very nice people. Yet the apartments on their backside are extremely rough. Update 2. I still stand by the 60 homeless. I work with these people day in and out. Homeless dumping to Stockton from other cities has always been a thing. Also, you don't have to be in a tent to be homeless. A lot of orbs and cars with people sleeping in them. I can't believe they put 27 rounds. Wait, what? In the hostage? Have you ever seen Freeway? The main character's life is so fucked up that she's trying to make it to Stockton. I live in such a nothing-ass state. I know none of Arkansas cities will be in here because this state is so irrelevant. Bakersfield or Fresno, pretty sure the devil has part-time vacation homes in both of them. Fresno's unofficial motto being at least, we're not Bakersfield. I had a job offer in Bakersfield once. On the tiny flight back home, a local couple asked me why I was in town. I told them, asked them their opinions, and they said, dear God, don't move here. Did not take that offer. Bakersfield has got to be the worst city in California, at the very least. Some cool country music there 50 years ago, but since then, Bakersfield. Imagine how most American movies depict Mexico. That's Bakersfield, yellow filter and all. Hey now, Bakersfield has one of the absolute best breakfast diners I've ever been to, and at least it's not fucking Barstow-y. I just realized I mixed up Bakersfield and Victorville. Bakersfield and Victorville. Bakersfield is a meth dealer in a tank top. Bakersfield is the butt of, you know what, I'll just leave it at butt. Bakersfield, California, nothing but meth and strip mall. Some dude from Bakersfield car was just arrested for robbing my house. For reference, I'm in teen, so he has come a long way from home just to be a shithead. This checks out. Gets all the smog from Latu, so it's an incredibly unpleasant place to drive through even if you have no intention to stop. People joke about it being the armpit of California, and they aren't wrong. The only thing Bakersfield has going for it is that it isn't Barstow. I passed Camden, NJ, on a way to a concert, and we stopped at a light, and a cop drove up and literally told us, just run the reds and go, do not stop, and as we turned, you would just see groups of people on corners, waiting for a stopped car. It was wild. Edit. I appreciate all the replies. The horror stories I'm sure are true. The struggle of the people in rough situations in these cities is a huge component also. My husband spent summers there, as he has family in the area. He saw it in all its facets, including positive changes. My first experience, and only experience, was driving there to get to a concert with my friend, 12, maybe 14 years ago, and it was unexpected even for this nice native. I live an hour from Philly, and had to explain this to my wife several times about Camden. She didn't believe me until I ran a red there in front of a cop, and nothing happened. She didn't understand then how dangerous Camden can be. Scrolled through and did not find my city. Win. Edit. For those that asked, it's Chicago. Hey! I never said it's the best, I just did not find it mentioned as the worst. Your city. Stockton, Fresno, Bakersfield. I've been to all of those. The only place the guy at the hotel desk told me lock your door when you get in, and if anyone knocks after dark, call 911 was in Lakeport. That town is a scary little meth hole. East St. Louis stopped once for gas. Didn't think I was going to make it back on 55. Was both prepared and a bit saddened to see East St. Louis at the top. It really is that bad, and there's no debating it. Cops pulled my mum over to tell her to leave. East St. Louis is the only city I've been in where a cop told me to run every stop sign until I got back to the interstate. I did the same, and the lady at the gas station straight looked at me and said, "Honey, you can't be here." She looked so worried for me. Edit. I was a younger adult needing gas badly, slightly lost. Why out-of-state license plate? I also look ridiculously young and baby-faced. I don't think it was a race thing. Yes, I'm white. Think it was do you understand where the fuck you are thing. Care to explain? That's mad. Kids, are you noticing all this plight? One time in high school, my friends and I were going somewhere at night on the Illinois side, and we got a bit lost. This was 2005s. And so we decided we'd pull off the highway and get our bearings. We soon realized we were in Ezel, and we shouldn't be there. So my friend who was driving pulled into a side street to turn around and get back to the highway. We saw a large group of guys walking on the sidewalk, and they all stared right at our car and watched my friend pull into a driveway to turn around. They started yelling at us. I'm not quite sure what they were saying, but I'm sure seeing 4 white high school kids driving around East St. Louis late at night was not very common. Looking back on it, I was definitely scared, but I've met many wonderful people who grew up in East St. Louis. I told them this story and they thought it was pretty funny, but assured me that those guys most likely would have done nothing to us. They probably were telling us to get out of there and go home. While it's certainly not the nicest place around, there are still far more good people there who are just trying to get by. I haven't been to every city in the US, but Baltimore could use a little cleaning up since we're on the subject. Basically, one of the only things I know about Baltimore is that it's the home of Mr. Trash Wheel and family, the pride of the Baltimore Harbor, and I imagined it as a trash-free oasis protected by the Trash Wheel clan. Bummer, I need to get out more. I think every city has great parts, but emo, worst part of Baltimore, is pretty. Out there. Honestly, I was coming in here ready to defend Baltimore. I'm in DC, but spend a lot of time in Baltimore and love it for the most part. But I read a thread in Baltimore a few hours ago about a guy talking about how he got mugged last night, and the top comment was a very casual, "Oh yay, those guys shot me last week." So while much of Baltimore very working class charming, you've got a good point. The worst parts are pretty damn bad, haha. Just be careful in West Baltimore in particular. The rest isn't as bad as people make it out to be, haha. Yay, I haven't been to a lot of the cities mentioned here, so I don't feel qualified to make a judgment on whether or not they're the worst. But I grew up going to Baltimore regularly. That city is nuts. Maybe it's improved in the years since I last visited. But last time I was there, people tried to mug me and my mum in the parking garage of a hospital. I was in a wheelchair, but the wheels really sped up the getaway lane. Someone also tried to steal our car while we were at the hospital. Like what? I've been to many hospitals in many cities. Baltimore is the only one where people were trying to mug you as you walked out of the hospital or steal your car as you went into the emergency room. Edit to add, Baltimore does have a great aquarium though. My advice for a trip to Baltimore is go to the aquarium, not the aquarium, not the hospital. No one ever tried to mug us at the aquarium. Springfield. Having a monorail would have made it better. Counterpoint. Shelbyville. Jackson, Mississippi. Very high murder rate, low education, failing infrastructure. Edit. Yes, I know Jackson isn't a very big city. It just sticks out as being in bad shape. Jackson was eye-opening for me. Where I'm from, being poor means you don't have a car or the latest phone and your apartment has roaches. In Jackson, if you're poor, you don't have shoes or running water. It's like a banana republic that can't grow bananas. Last week, a dog carrying a severed arm was found walking around Jackson. The police followed it back to a gruesome crime scene. Fans of the Mad Max movies give it a high rating, however. This place is by far the worst place I've ever been in the USA. It's like they literally just stopped funding anything in 1970. It's actually fucking really bizarre. As someone who lives right outside Jackson, I second this. Freaking sad and embarrassing that our capital doesn't have drinking water, trash pickup, drivable roads, or other things that most small cities across the country already have. Potholes that have been there for years, deep enough to destroy your rims if you don't constantly switch back and forth between the lanes. Most people I know avoid going into the city limits at all costs because the crime is so high. I mean driving 30-40 minutes out of the way to go around the city. Recently, there was an announcement that if you're in a car accident, to just keep driving to a safe destination instead of stopping because people were purposely wrecking into others in order to jack their vehicle or rob them. It's almost like we're a third world country, and it sucks. Check out Yazoo City as well. It's much smaller, but just as bad, if not worse. Sucks seeing cities you grew up in go to crap. Many of the cities in the state are this way, and I can't wait to freaking leave. I hesitate to answer this because the worst cities in America aren't big cities. It's medium and small-sized cities that have been hit the hardest by economic changes. Places like Gary Inn, Pontiac, Bridgeport, Kent, and Lowell, industrial cities that lost all their jobs and experienced depopulation and rising crime. But I don't know, maybe Hartford. There's just nothing there. It's insurance companies and street gangs. That's it. Wow, didn't expect to see Lowell on here. I don't think it's one of the worst, even in mass. Definitely didn't see the shout-out for Bridgeport coming in this thread. I grew up in Fairfield, went to the University of Bridgeport, lived in 3 rentals in that city, and my grandfather was the head of machine maintenance at Bridgeport Machines, and then Remington Shaver for 40 years in downtown Bridgeport. And you're right, Hubble, Warnaco, Remington, etc., all left and Bridgeport was crippled. I haven't lived in Keys since 2011, but there seems to be promising signs of stabilization instead of the continuous decline over the past 30 years. In my opinion, of the ones I've been to, Miami anywhere outside of the nightlife scene is absolutely dangerous. For example, Wynwood, the art district, is literally in the middle of one of the worst possible neighborhoods. You enter or exit Wynwood from the wrong direction. Don't stop and wait at red lights. Edited. I learned the area I'm referring to is called Overtown, just outside of Wynwood. Also, no, I'm not a tourist. I'm a local. I'm from Miramar, right next to Miami Gardens, and I go into Dade County from time to time. I can verify this comment. Edit. I recall running into a map of gangs in the southern half of Florida. I just found it again. Here's the link. Reddit, come for map and comments, or 12u map or comments with 12u map p metroyers, utu meridium, and your medroid. Stayed in Wynwood for New Year's a couple years ago, in a really cool burner vibe, multi-unit with a bar, super artsy and cute. The hosts told us we could easily walk to the art district from there, so we were pumped to not have to deal with Uber Lyft, so we decided to walk over to find some lunch and check it out during the day to get ourselves acclimated. We discovered that it was literally fucking Skid Row, one street off the art district, and ended up stuck walking down one of the sketchiest areas I've ever experienced. I'm from Detroit, Ventusagino, lived close to Baltimore, carefully, and also in Oakland. Definitely glad we checked it out during the day and didn't find ourselves stumbling through there after dark and drinking. There were literally dudes posted on the corners, for obvious reasons, and people nodded out, and needles everywhere. So fucking sketchy, I didn't even want to have my phone out to look at my map. To be fair, everyone we saw was cool, but deaf-like, what are you doing here? Hosts should have definitely disclaimed those details. All in all, it was a fantastic experience, though. Would Def go back? Such a fun, lively area. Super affordable, and the community was welcoming and eccentric. Miami. Hot year-round traffic, sex trafficking amongst other crime, expensive hurricanes, even residents complain, smells. But Pitbull made it sound so great. I was born there and lived there until I was 9, and it is the most terrifying place I've ever been. A lot of death and violence happened in our hood. Terrible memories. I lost my dad to that shit city. I liked pretty much all of the big cities I've been to in the US. Live in nice. Spent a few years in Chicago, have visited Boston, D.C., Philly. Baltimore was kinda for me. Had some good food and went to a cool street fair, but I found the inner harbor kind of boring, and the class divide was very palpable. Out of small cities, Binghamton, was just straight up depressing. It looked like a ghost town. Elizabeth NJ was sort of run down, looking but seemed like it was in better shape than Binghamton. Charleston Move, used to be so vibrant and bustling, was supposed to become nice in the mountains, is now a dead zone with a struggling infrastructure and an economy that can't keep itself afloat, and an economy that can't keep itself afloat. Add on the homeless problem, which makes all of downtown look like a giant skid row. Bakersfield, California is the worst. Please never go there. There is no reason to go there. It is followed closely by Dodge City, Kansas. Nice try, Russia. The worst cities are the most boring cities, the most devoid of personality. So I'm going to say Jacksonville, Florida. Jason Mendoza is now going to come throw a Molotov cocktail through your front window. I hated growing up by Orlando. For one, brick roads fucking suck, but also there's just too many damn tourists all the time. Entire cities, one giant tourist trap. Every big city has parts within them that are the worst. So any answer could be correct. Crime isn't as high as some people say, although there have been signs of it rising in some places. I'd say that you'd be fine in the right part of any city. There's reasons to have pride in every place in the United States, regardless of their downsides, because of all the history and people that live there, except Phoenix, which shouldn't exist, because it is a monument to man's arrogance. For the uninitiated. Having grown up in Phoenix, I find it odd that I've rarely met anyone who claims to be from there. Phoenix is the 5th most populous city in the US, and that's insanely fucked up to think about. Miami, year-round tropical paradise, year-round hot garbage. Hot, humid garbage. A crime-ridden, bug-infested, trash-strewn traffic, trash-strewn traffic choked third world shithole. The official flower is mildew. The official smell is decomp. The official birds are mosquitoes and palmetto bugs, which is just a cute name for giant cockroaches. Absolutely abysmal education means the native population is as dumb as a box of rocks. Oh, but houses are so cheap. They sure are when they're poorly built, slum, adjacent and 20 traffic-clogged miles from any decent services or shopping. Just overlook the property taxes too. Better hope your condo building was properly maintained. Uninsured driver, slip and fall scam central. And good luck finding anyone who speaks English. What's really hilarious is the handful of companies relocating there citing crime in the cities they are leaving. Had they read the news, they'd know Miami is not Singapore or Geneva. Crypto hub. Yeah, good luck with that. Rising sea level can't come soon enough. I loved watching Stephen Fry's America and how he loved everywhere he went. Every little podunk town or roadside attraction, he was relentlessly positive and upbeat. Then he got to Miami. It was the only place in all 50 states that he really didn't like. Native Floridian, born and raised near Miami. 1000 accurate. Fuck that place. Right on. Miami is a fraud of a paradise on postcards. In reality, it's total trash on so many levels. Sohm 1000 Miami is the absolute worst, dreamiest, stinkiest, overrun with assholes, and will get enraged if you drive less than 90th in the slow lane. Was so glad my parents moved out of there, so I never, ever have to go to that dank hellhole again. Baltimore. One example. While driving, every stoplight seems to require an interaction with two young entrepreneurs, spraying raw sewage onto your windshield with a spray bottle and then aggressively demanding money to wipe it up. Midland, Odessa, Tex. It's two miserable cities close to each other in the middle of the Permian oil field. You're hours away from any other real city in West Texas. The population is basically all transitory, meaning it doubles in size during an oil boom and empties during a bust. When oil booms, it jacks the prices on everything. Traffic sucks cause everyone can only live or stay in Midland or Odessa. Traffic fatalities, they are the worst in Texas. I almost get in a wreck every time I drive down the parking lot rows at Walmart. When it rains, I get the crude oil stench in my neighborhood. The meth is pretty top-notch, the money is why I stay. Anyone saying Chicago has obviously never been to Chicago. Chicago is rated one of the best cities. Everyone gets hung up on the crime, and yes, it has pretty bad crime in certain neighborhoods. But Chicago doesn't even have the highest crime rate in Illinois, let alone the use of it. It has top-tier public transportation, a beautiful lakefront, diverse and awesome restaurants, and just a lot to do. Chicago doesn't even have the highest crime rate in Illinois. As a Rockford native, I'm surprised this is the closest we've come to being mentioned in this thread so far. Only negative about Chicago is the winter. Summertime Chi might genuinely be one of the best cities in the world. Chicago is fucking sick. I lived in northern Illinois for a few years after growing up in the nice area. Nye is my hometown, so I'm biased, but Chicago is clean and feels like it has just as much going on. I'm kind of shocked at how many people in this thread are firing off cities that they're actively admitting they've never been to. Like, cool, you've heard Detroit sucks, but how the fuck do you know if you haven't been there? Also, different people value different things. Like nice is loud, dirty, expensive, and super heterogeneous. But some people love that energy and can't imagine living anywhere else. Other people despise nicey and wouldn't live there, even if you paid them to do it. And neither type of person is right or wrong, they just value different things. The Detroit airport is super nice. I fucking love Detroit. I grew up in Detroit, have never lived outside the area, and still live in Dearborn. People love to hate on Detroit, and most of them have never and will never visit. It's a shame, but it won't change. They think it's an easy target. And then they wonder the Detroit V's, everybody mentality is so deeply ingrained in some of us. Fuck, even people outside the sea area but the same state hate on Detroit. Don't get me started on Yoopers or people in fucking Benton Harbor or Holland talking shit when they've never even been east of Jackson or south of Saginaw counties. Is Detroit perfect? Absolutely not. Does it have many, many, many problems? Absolutely. The neighborhood I primarily grew up in is still terrible. But as a whole, there are so many wonderful things about the city and the surrounding city. And people just dismiss it out of hand. I'm currently living in Phoenix right now, and they do this thing where everyone puts their garbage outside, and then the city has it all picked up. Like, not in the cans, but just in huge piles. But they don't pick it up for months unless you live in a nice neighborhood. So in my shitty neighborhood, there have been massive piles of garbage in front of everyone's houses for like 2 whole months, with rain leaching, who knows what out of it all, and wind blowing garbage all over the neighborhood. It's so fucking stupid that I can't help but laugh. That's not even the worst of it, but that's one petty shitty thing about this place. Edit. We have regular trash cans and trash pickup. This is for bulk items, but it is the stupidest goddamn system run by incompetent idiot. Anyone defending likely lives in a rich neighborhood, or they are so enamored by this shitty town that they've justified it in their little head. Seems like the term hot garbage would apply very well here. Gary, fucking, Indiana. All my homies hate Gary, Indiana. Edit. Lowell got reported to Reddit cares for this. It's more of a ghost town than a big city. Has no one said Camden? It's definitely Camden, NG. People who just don't like cities in general.